Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists, and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey everyone.
Hello everyone. Welcome to a special joint broadcast of Afternoona Delight and Afternoona Army.
This is a very special snack coming to you from Amy from Afternoona Delight and
Tonya from Afternoona Army.
And we are together at my house in the suburbs of Chicago because what happened this week?
Something very special happened, which is that we got to see the Rose last night at a Lollapalooza after show. And it was something very, very special and magical. And in case anyone's wondering, Lollapalooza is a major music festival in the United States and around the world. It goes all around the world now. The Rose has been playing the Lollapalooza circuit for months and months and months now. And they finally played Chicago the previous night. And then last night they did what's called an after show, which is an intimate little gig late at night after the festival is over. And again, it was magical.
Yes, and it was giving a shout out to the Vic Theatre in Chicago, which is where we saw it, in a, like Tonya said, a lovely little intimate show of like maybe, 1,000, 1,500 people, all general admission show. And it was, we're still processing. We're still processing. So why don't we start with talking about how we spent our day leading up to the show, because it was a great day all around. We needed to keep ourselves busy because the show did not start until 11, and we didn't know until we got there that the show actually didn't start until 12 because they had an opening act, which was great, but we had a long day.
It was a long day. So we decided to go on a little exploration and just, Chicago is such a great city with so many shops and restaurants and experiences you can have from people bringing their cultures here from all over the world. And so being longtime now aficionados of K-dramas and music from Korea, we wanted to try some things that we just haven't had a chance to try before. Certain, foods and, K-pop shopping at new places and things like that. So we went on a little exploration of the Chicago suburbs.
Yeah. We're really excited for what we found in the suburbs because I had heard about, and then Tonya was talking about it too, a K-pop store in the city called Kpopstar. And we were going to try and go to Kpopstar before the show at the Vic. The problem was parking in the city this weekend because of Lollapalooza happening. Parking rates were skyrocketing. And so I had found a spot on Spot Hero for us for the concert, but it was very limited what time I could enter the garage, and we couldn't enter the garage until 9 p.m. So trying to find a place to park in the city and go to the shop in the city and not have to spend like $100 for parking. So long story short is we're like, let's see if there's any K-pop shops in the suburbs. And we found this little adorable place in Mundelein called Kpopstar. Mm-hmm. And anybody who's in the Chicago area, please go and visit Kpopstar because it was fantastic.
Especially if you are into BTS, of course, but especially into Tiny Tan. They had the biggest selection of Tiny Tan merch that I have ever seen. A whole entire wall of it. I've never seen that much before. They had everything.
Yeah, so much stuff. It was super, super fun. And the owner of the store, super lovely. If you bought an album, you got a free photo card. So Tonya had to twist my arm to buy my first time ever buying a one-song CD. I bought Jin's The Astronaut, but like the photo book and the photo cards inside, like it was worth every penny of the $26 that I spent. And then I also got a free photo card from the actual merch at the store. So it was fantastic. And then we got some little fun goodies. Like I got a little RJ to put on my dashboard and an RJ pen.
Cute. I got a little RJ keychain, a Koya keychain for my mom. Fun little things like that. It's a great little store.
Super, super fun. And then I listened to The Astronaut over and over again, a few times before we went back to the Bros. So that was stop number 1.
Yes. And then we went to get some bubble tea after that because Amy hadn't had a chance to try bubble tea yet.
I'd never had bubble tea before. And we found a shop right around the corner from Kpopstar. And I'm really, really sorry I forgot the name of did we take a picture of it?
It was called Bubble Tea Lab.
Okay, there we go. Bubble Tea Lab. Also in either Mundelein or Libertyville. So giving a shout out to them because they were right around the corner from Kpopstar. And I had a brown sugar bubble tea with boba, and it was the most delicious thing I'd ever tasted. And Tanya's like, you don't have to finish it because they were big.
They're big and very sweet, yeah.
Big and very sweet.
Forgot about
and like
lowering the sugar, yeah.
10 minutes later, as we're driving to our next destination, I hold up my cup that's like almost empty. I'm like, don't finish it, you say.
Exactly. And I had a Thai tea with coconut milk. Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
Good.
so good.
That got us caffeinated and ready to go for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, so then we were driving, we were heading towards, I'm giving you just like a total zigzagging tour of the Chicago suburbs. So we were heading to Schaumburg because according to my maps, both of our maps on both of our phones, there is an H Mart in Schaumburg, and Schaumburg is like kind of on the way to the city. Mundelein is not. So we were heading back towards the city and making our way slowly there. And we drove all the way to the H Mart. And as we're driving to H Mart, we pass, there's a big sign saying Joong Market coming soon. So there's another market coming in Schaumburg soon. Oh, also there's a Kpopstar coming to Streets of Woodfield in Schaumburg. So we already knew that Schaumburg had some stuff coming soon. So Kpopstar was coming soon, and then we drove past a Joong Market coming soon. But we were heading to H Mart. As we get to the parking lot, what do we find out about H Mart?
It's still nascent.
It's coming soon.
It's an apple in someone's eye. By the way, it's a huge Asian grocery market, in case anybody's not familiar with H Mart, if you don't have it in your area.
Yes, which is what Joong Market is as well. Yes. So we were like, well, shit.
Exactly.
What do we do now? Also, we had finished our bubble teas, and it took us 30 minutes to get from Mundelein to Schaumburg, and we had to pee.
Yes, we did.
So we were like, all right, we got to find somewhere else, because you know when you have your heart set on you're going to do this thing, and then you don't get to do that thing, but you need to do that thing.
You're going to make it happen.
So we're like, where is there another H Mart or something on the way to the city? And we found a Joong Market in Glenview. So again, another twisting tour of the Chicago suburbs. And so we drove from Schaumburg to Glenview, which did involve an unexpected roundabout in the Chicago suburbs.
Is this an unusual thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't have many roundabouts around here, so that was really weird. And I've been on that roundabout, but it's been years because I'm rarely ever driving in that direction.
You're trying to hastily remember your roundabout driving rules.
Yes, seriously. And I did have to change lanes really quickly in the middle of the roundabout. So there was that. So we found a Joong Market in Glenview, which was a very big, lovely surprise, because it wasn't just the Joong Market, but it was like two whole sort of strip malls of all like Asian stores.
Yeah, mostly Korean.
Yeah. So that was really exciting. There was even a Kim Sun-young hair salon. That's what it was called, Kim Sun-young hair salon.
Our favorite, one of our favorite actresses,
yes.
My favorite.
I don't know if the person who owns its name is like also Kim Sun-young. Like that would be amazing. Like we didn't make it over there because that was across the street. But yeah, we went to Joong Market and had some more fun.
Yeah, it was great. And they had a couple of, they had a franchise you see a lot in K-dramas, which was Paris Baguette. We stuffed ourselves before that, so we didn't make it in there. But yeah, they had some fun things to explore.
Yeah, we bought some candy, some treats for the car. We bought some high chews and some Kopiko.
And my favorite, I forget the brand name, but they're Jeju Orange.
Hard candies. And she bought me a bag, and they're so good. Yeah, those and the Kopiko are like my new obsessions now. So we did that, but we had read that there was like food at Joong, and we didn't see it. So we came out of the market and then saw that there was a sign that said food court. And it was kind of like just this random door.
Yeah.
That you walk in, but then there's stairs that go up to this really just a two-stop shop food court. But there was plenty offered there. And we, our eyes were a little bit bigger than our stomachs.
Yeah, just a little. I think because we there were so many things we had wanted to try for years.
Yes.
And hadn't had the chance. And so we were encouraging each other to try things. So yeah, we got a little, I went a little overboard.
So I ordered the fish cutlet, which was beyond delicious.
Yes. And I got bibimbap vegetable, which I had at other places, but I have to say theirs was incredibly fresh and delicious.
Yes.
So that was really nice to try. Lots of veggies, very healthy.
Yes, it looked really good. And I was hemming and hawing between the fish cutlet and the black bean noodles, because in every drama and every time you're watching a live with one of the BTS members, somebody's eating black bean noodles.
Yeah.
So we're like, so Tanya's like, do you want me to get one and we'll share it? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Like I was flustered because there was so much on the menu. And our orders come up, and it is the giantest of giant bowls.
It was like a bowling ball. It was so heavy. And it was the weather. It's very hot. It's the middle of summer as we're recording this, or late summer. It's hot. It's humid, and it was a big, heavy meal.
Yeah.
So we enjoyed tasting it. We didn't get to finish it
because we also had full meals ourselves.
Yes, we had to let it go back to the.
There was nothing left on my fish cutlet plate, and like I have a picture. Like I have a picture of everything. We'll post that on both of our Instagrams. But this fish cutlet was huge. It was a breaded fish cutlet, and it was just delicious. Like I'm still thinking about it. I want to eat it again.
So light and flaky. Their food is great. If you have one of these markets in your area, I don't know if it's just a Chicago chain or what, but it was very nice and fresh. And the black bean noodles, jjajangmyeon, which again you will see it in K-dramas all the time, and you see BTS members like Amy said eating it all the time, is delicious. And if you have been, so we're speaking to other Korean food newbies here, if you have been avoiding trying Korean food because you're worried about spiciness, if that's something that you can't tolerate well, ask if it's spicy. But the one we had was absolutely 100%
super mild. No,
there was
spice
no
at all.
heat at all.
No heat.
So that's a dish you could try and enjoy, and it was very tasty and mellow and just easy to eat with nice big thick chewy noodles. So
okay, so that was our day. Let's get to the night. So we get to the city and we kind of screw around a little bit, like waiting to get into the parking garage.
We had to kill a little bit of time.
Yeah,
not too much.
Which we basically did, like going somewhere to pee. And then we got into the parking garage, which was a feat in and of itself because these parking spots were really tight. And I swear I'm not as bad of a parker as I was last night, but I had to keep backing up and getting in between the lines. And then we finally made it to the Vic and we got in line. And if you have been to a K-pop show before, you know what the lines are like, that people don't just show up, at the time of the show. But we got there at 9:00. The doors were supposed to open at 10. And the line was around 2 blocks. Like, it wrapped around 2 blocks.
Yeah. I was a little concerned, just not about being at the back because it's such a small venue. We knew it would be great, but just that we wouldn't make it in before the show started.
Yes. So that was a big thing because they weren't opening the doors until 10. And we thought the Rose was going on with no opening act. So we thought they were going on at 11. We're like, we're going to miss the beginning of the show. And like, shout out to the people who work at the Vic. They opened the doors early. They got us all in with plenty of time, like more than 30 minutes before anybody took the stage. And it was fantastic. And
they even came along the entire length of the line that was wrapping around blocks, like you said, with a garbage bag to make sure that everybody could throw their stuff out and not leave any litter in the neighborhood. So they did a wonderful job.
It was super great. Got us through like checking our bags and security and stuff like that. If you ever go to a show at the Vic, you can have a bag. It just needs to be 12 by 12 or smaller, which is a really nice size bag. And it doesn't have to be clear. So just heads up for that. But yeah, we got in. We're like, holy shit, no matter where you stand, it's absolutely fantastic. Oh, talk about the people who were standing with in line, too.
Oh, yes. This is the second time this has happened to me. We got in line at the very end of this long, long queue, and we're standing there chatting with the woman in front of us. And suddenly I looked at her and I said, because I had been at the festival performance for the Rose the previous night at the actual Lollapalooza Music Festival in Grant Park. And I looked at her and I said, weren't we standing next to each other last night? And she said, because we both looked completely different and it was, we could actually see each other. And she was like, oh yeah. And so it was really fun. So we got to connect again. And that's happened to me before. In fact, when I saw the Rose in Dallas in the spring, I started queuing up at like 6 a.m. and was talking to these people all day that were so nice. And we ended up keeping in touch, I think, or following each other on Instagram later. And it turned out, we didn't realize it until the end of the day that there were both from the same town in Kansas.
Oh my gosh.
So actually one of the women has become a friend of mine. We
love
meet up.
that.
We meet up for bubble tea and she's been to my house and she's lovely. Shout out to Maggie.
I love that so much.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Speaking of bubble tea, you're just making me go back and think for a second. So speaking of things like that I haven't tried before, I'm still like, I feel like a tiny baby K-pop fan. And I'm full ARMY net by now, and I'm so in love with BTS. But the Rose is new to me. And when Tonya said, they're going to be at Lala and they're doing this post-Lala show and the tickets are so cheap, like I have got the pre-sale code. If I come in town, would you go with me? I'm like, absolutely. She was like, they go on at 11. I'm like, okay, yeah, absolutely. But that, we'll see how that goes. So, The Rose was new to me. And of course, I started listening to them, in preparation for the show and loved everything. And we'll get to how I feel after seeing them soon. But, The Rose was new to me. Bubble Tea was new to me.
I love having an adventurous friend.
I know.
Fun to go try
Bubble Tea was new to me. Fish cutlet from a Korean, food stand was new to me. It was, Black bean noodles new to me. It was all... It should have been sensory overload, but it wasn't. It was all the best of the best. So it was fantastic.
K-pop is more fun with friends.
It really is. And it's, the problem is that I'm getting sucked in more and more and I don't have time for all the content. We got home close to 3 a.m. last night and I was so sleepy. And then of course I, wash up, get ready for bed. And all I'm doing is like deep diving everything The Rose on my phone. So.
Yeah, they are my only other major stan. I love lots of groups, and I listen to lots and lots of artists from Korea and elsewhere, but they are my only other major hard stan other than BTS because it is so emotionally consuming and time consuming.
Yes, it is. Like, I don't understand. We were talking about this yesterday, like, a lot of us try to consume content while we're doing other things, like at our day jobs. But it's very hard for me in the job that I have because I sit in an open cubicle. And I also need to, I create stuff online. I do some learning content creation and there's narration that goes with it. So I need to always be listening. So I can't have other stuff going on in the background, which makes it really hard. So yeah, there's a lot of content that I want to dive. So anyway, getting back to what happened at the Vic. So 11 o'clock, immediately, the house lights go off. And we're like, oh my gosh, they're starting right on time.
Another thing I love about K-pop shows, they always start on time. You don't
and they
sit there
end
for 2
and
hours
there's no encore and you don't have to worry about missing something. Like the house lights go up and you leave, right?
Yeah, if the lights, because often the shows will have encores, but once the lights go up, exactly, it's okay to go.
So lights go down and these two people get on the stage that are very clearly not the Rose.
And there was still like a tarp or a blanket over the drum set and everything. So we were wondering what was up.
So just one guy playing guitar and one girl singing. And she was very good, and we had no idea who she was until the end, where she introduced herself. It was Isabel La Rosa, and you'll know her if you Google her because she had a song that went viral on TikTok. And she was fantastic and adorable and sweet, and only 18.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how young she was.
Yes,
she's really lovely. Yeah,
and Tonya, like you brought this up, so I want you to speak to like what it was like the crowd reception. Yeah,
because I'm an older fan. I've been going to gigs since the 80s, and I have been to many, many shows. And often opening acts get a very poor reception, boredom at best.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll have a few people at the front who are into it, and then people are just kind of like, okay, get on with it, which is sad. It shouldn't be like that, but unfortunately, at least in the United States, there is that kind of an attitude often. And but this is a different kind of crowd, and this is one of the reasons I love K-pop fans, is that they saw that young woman up there performing her heart out, and it turned out to be her brother, who is the guitarist, performing his heart out, and the crowd gave them everything.
Yep.
Everybody was there to see The Rose. You don't expect an opening act in a K-pop show. It just usually doesn't happen. So it could have been a situation where the crowd would have gone sour or indifferent, but they put everything into it. They cheered, and she actually shed tears at the end and said it was the best crowd she had ever had.
She couldn't believe it. She kept, even after like every song and she would get applause, she would like palm to chest. Like she couldn't believe that we were reacting like that. And it was just such a joyful place to be and to see that. And the energy of a K-pop crowd is the best thing ever.
It was the best. It was a really lovely, lovely crowd. So yeah. So shout out Black Roses. You were the best.
But what that meant was the Rose did not go on until midnight.
Yes.
And my parking spot ended at 3. So I was crossing my fingers that we were going to make it out without me having to pay extra for parking, which we absolutely did. But yeah, midnight, and we were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe
Here we are. But we were so excited. I actually didn't feel, my body was tired, but I was mentally so excited.
Yes, I was not like sleepy or anything at all. And we even had a little drink when we first got there, and it was still okay. So the rose comes out, and one of the first things that they do is Woo-sung asks the audience how many of you were at Lala last night, and a lot of people were.
Yeah, there was a pretty good roar, so I think most of the crowd was probably there the night before.
So what did he say then after that?
So he said, we kind of thought that would happen, and so we decided to do something a little special tonight, and my heart just leapt, because my big dream for this show, and the reason why we wanted to come to this show, it was not just to see them, but because we thought that there was a good chance that it was going to be something unique and special, that they would feel maybe a little more free to just kind of do whatever, because it's a small crowd and it's not part of an official tour. It's not part of an official, daytime festival, or actually nighttime. They got to do a nighttime performance at Lala. So he said, we're not going to have a set list. We're going to take audience requests. And this was something that really broke my heart open. He said, we're celebrating our 6th anniversary. Lots of paraphrasing here. And so, as the Rose, at least, because they had been together before that under another name, but the 6th anniversary is the Rose. And when we first started out, Hajun and Jaehyung used to do a lot more vocals. And so we want to bring that back tonight and basically give them a chance to showcase some of their beautiful vocals. And so that was something really, really special that we may not get to see very often.
It was just a celebration of all of them, and it was amazing. And immediately they're like, what do you want to hear?
Yeah.
And people started requesting like some deep cuts of the Rose's backlist, which was hilarious, because they would have to convene and be like, what are the chords? What were the lyrics? Like, it was hilarious. And
it was so fun to watch. And I'll post some clips of this because I recorded some of their conversations.
Because for a lot of them, they only did like a verse.
Yeah.
Which I thought was spectacular. They're like, we're gonna do what we know, and then we're gonna move on to the next song, just so you get to hear a little bit of it. It was fun. It was funny because they totally had to, at one point, Woo-sung just gave the guitar back to Jaehyung and was like, I don't know the chords. Jaehyung has to do it.
Yeah, exactly. This was really special too, because I think that having gone to so many gigs over the decades, I think that in a Western audience of Western musicians in the United States, if they were taking requests, it would be for their big hit songs.
Right.
And you wouldn't get a lot of requests for deep cuts. And I think that's another thing I love about fans of groups from the Korean music industry. It was just that they know the discography. Right. They're dedicated and they care enough to really pay attention to the lyrics, the meaning, learn the songs, sing along with the artists, hype them up, and all of that. It makes the show so enjoyable.
So before the show, because like I said, I'm new to the Rose, I didn't have a bias yet. I was like, this is my time.
This was your sorting hat moment.
This is my sorting hat moment. Because who's your bias?
Dojun.
Yeah. Okay, Dojun. And who's your bias wrecker?
Jaehyung.
Okay.
I love, they're all my bias wrecker.
Of course. They're all amazing. But like, I didn't know, what I was in for. And let me just say, Woo-sung walks out with a baseball hat pulled down over his beautiful mullet and over his beautiful eyes, a t-shirt, and sequin low-slung jeans. And I was a goner before he even started. And I was like, my bias. And then it wasn't until this morning, which we'll get to in a little bit, or not this morning. We weren't really up in the morning. It was maybe 11. We started watching some stuff online. It wasn't until we watched
Heel Project
on YouTube, their documentary, that I was like, yeah, Jaehyung's my bias wrecker.
Yeah. And I'm having a bias wrecker episode for Hajun, and I want to say drummers always get the short end of the stick on this kind of stuff because they're not as visible. And so please follow his Instagram. He posts absolutely beautiful pictures of himself sometimes, and he has the loveliest voice. And
he does.
I have already posted to Afternoona Army a clip of him singing Childhood, and we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
So I think I have a bias and 3 bias records, so it's just
that's
easy
okay.
to do with
That's
the
okay.
Rose, yeah.
It's a small band. We can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your favorite song that you heard live last night?
Oh, gosh. It had to be Childhood, just because that performance was so special and emotional. Those sweet and powerful vocals from Jaehyung and Hajun was something I've never been able to hear before. And they just kind of left it all on the floor. And Dojun was just sitting under the drum set playing acoustic guitar. And it was just, I don't know.
It was great.
It was very special.
It was
something we may never see again. I don't know. Yeah. And then other than that, I would say it was the second time they've ever performed alive, because that's a new song of theirs. And that song is so edgy and unhinged. If you haven't heard it yet, you've got to hear the part where Joong just goes off on the synthesizer.
We'll put a link to the video in the show notes, because you have to watch the video.
Yeah, I could feel it in my spine. Like, it's so crazy energetic, and wow. So that part, I saw it at the previous night at Lollapalooza, and it blew my freaking mind.
Yeah. Because yesterday morning, she's like, you have to, so she showed me the video for Live, and I was like, well, damn, like, that might be my favorite song, but, and it is one of my tops, but their other new song, Back to Me, hearing that one live, I lost my mind. Like, that song is meant to be done live. It really is. Like, watch the video for that one. It's great, but it's a little bit more subdued as a music video, I think, than seeing it live. And that's probably one of my top songs ever in all of the songs in all of the world. So
yeah, it is a big, big song. Yeah, incredible. They're incredible songwriters and performers.
Yes. I don't understand how they, like, we were talking about this yesterday, like the production of music, I can't wrap my head around that, like what goes into that. And I'm so in awe of everything that they put together. It's amazing. So as far as their set list last night, like there is no official set list, right? So we tried figuring it out based on the videos that we took, and then just basically looking at like a list of their discography so that we could figure out, wait, did they play this? Like, so
yeah, because some of the really deep cuts were like, I've heard all of the songs, but I wasn't as knowledgeable about some of the really, really old songs from the very beginning. And so, yeah, I didn't always know the title of it and things like that. So we had to look through. And I also didn't take clips of every song. So we'll have to wait for someone to post that maybe on Reddit or on the Rosarium so that we could get the full list.
My favorite song going into the show last night was Cure. And so I was really excited that they opened with that. Like they opened with that, and then they made the announcement that it was going to be requests only after that. So that was super fun. Because they opened with Cure at Lala too, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they did, yeah.
So that's like their opening show, which is super fun.
Mm-hmm. That's one of our favorite songs.
Sorry.
So we're excited.
All right.
What else they've done? We'll just go a quick run through, and this is not comprehensive, okay? And not in order. They did Cure, they did Candy, She's in the Rain, which is a total crowd favorite, yes. So the audience was just flipping out. Baby, oh, that is what a great song. I Don't Know, Yes, which is from Heel, and that was the song where they
tossed out roses.
Yeah, they've been doing this now where they're tossing roses out into the audience. Fans really love it. They did Red, they did Childhood, which we've talked about. They did Beautiful Girl. That's a deep cut. And that you get to hear a little rapping going on from Woo-sung and Do-jung.
That was so fun.
That was so much fun. Take Me Down, ILY, I Love You, Shift, Sour, Back to Me, Alive. And there were a few others in there, which, again, later on we'll be able to share the full list.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Like, I still, if you haven't immersed yourself in the K-pop world yet, it might sound contrived to say, like, it was a life-changing experience.
But it was.
It was. I am so in love with this band. I am so in love with the K-pop community. You know, if I had the time and the means to do it, I would just want to travel around going to shows, which Tonya does, which I think is awesome. And I did. Like, I went to California for Suga, for August D. But, like, I was talking about this last night, like, back in our day.
Back in our time
when we were just youngins coming up in the world, people didn't usually follow bands around unless it was like the Grateful Dead. Like, that really wasn't a thing. And then people started doing it with, like, Dave Matthews Band, you know, later in the 90s and the early 2000s and stuff. And now I totally get it. Yeah. And because it is a thing now. People, like, you go to a K-pop show, much of the audience is not from where that show is.
Right. We have to travel.
Yeah.
Especially because there's often so few shows in so few locations, usually where there's a big Korean diaspora community. Like I live in Kansas City, and I have to usually drive 8 to 10 hours to go to a show.
Yeah.
Because they don't come to Kansas City unless they're a really, really small act. So it takes a lot of, it takes money.
Yeah.
Which not everybody has. And so that's a privilege thing.
It is. And time too. Like to be able to take that time.
Yeah.
But we were laughing because like we were talking about it last night. We're like, when we were younger, if somebody didn't come to your town, you were just like, oh shit, I can't see him.
I'm not going to get to see so-and-so.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
Very
like that
much
now.
so.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, like, and obviously driving is easier than flying and a little bit more, cost effective, but, it's worth it if you're able to do it. If you're able to find the rose somewhere near you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you will not regret what it takes to get there if you can make it happen.
Yeah. And they are about to go on tour again.
Mm-hmm.
In North America, they haven't announced the Asia and other places, Europe and other places tour dates yet, but they've announced the North American tour dates. And that'll be, I think it starts in October, maybe late September. I can't remember where it starts. I'm seeing them in Denver in October. If any of you are going, let me know. So yeah, so look for that. Their new album is titled, it's not out yet. It's titled Dual, Dual, like duality. And that'll be out, just before the tour starts, I'm sure. And, yeah, like Amy said, it may be a hassle to get to the show, but if you can afford it and if you can do it, you will not regret it. And I know a lot of our Afternoona Army listeners have written in to say, I really want to see BTS or The Rose or another group, but I'm a little anxious about going by myself. Will the other fans be friendly? And especially if any of you are also older fans like we are, not the standard, like in your 20s or whatever. Will I be welcome? Will I feel weird if I'm there? You will be welcome. K-pop crowds are a different breed.
Absolutely.
And you will make friends, like I described earlier, with the people next to you in line. So chat people up. You can also meet up with other fans who are going. If you look at, The Rose has an app called the Rosarium. They just launched in preparation for this new album and tour. And there's a community board on there. Like anything online, just exercise normal caution when you're corresponding with strangers. Meet up safely. But, you can just meet in line or for coffee or something. And I've gone to concerts with and made new friends that way. And it's really lovely. Just, use your ordinary caution and all that.
Yeah, Tanya's a rock star. She went to Lollapalooza by herself, which, I had to be at work all day.
Yeah. It's a lot more fun with friends. Last year I went to see J-Hope, which was I would say of the two concerts, if I had to pick two that were life-changing, of all the gigs I've seen since the 1980s, it was J-Hope last year at Lollapalooza and now this after show, and it's just seeing The Rose at Lollapalooza in general. Are the two shows that have meant the most to me in my life. And I've seen a lot of big groups, big and small, a lot of shows, a lot of great shows.
Same, amazing.
But these are the two.
And if you want...
And Yoongi.
And Yoongi, of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you want to get to know The Rose a little bit before seeing them and make an emotional connection to them, I highly recommend what Tonya and I did to decompress this morning. She had already watched The Heal Project, which is their 4-part documentary on YouTube. She'd already watched it, but she was kind enough to rewatch it with me. I'm sure it was such a chore.
Hurt. Yeah, it didn't hurt at all. I got a lot more out of it.
I cried a little bit.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So good. And that's when Jaehyung became my bias rocker, because I love and adore him and want all the good things for him. But yeah, I can't say enough good about this group, about this experience. We are still recovering. Mm-hmm. We haven't left the couch this morning. I slept the latest I've slept in a long time, but that was because I didn't go to bed till almost 4 a.m. And we're about to go eat some poke bowls to decompress on the couch a little bit more and probably watch some more content on YouTube. Amy
and I are new friends. We became friends this year, going to shows together. And, but I feel like I know your couch a little better than you.
She even has her spot on the couch, which is perfect. Which I won't tell. It's my daughter's spot, but she's not home this afternoon. She's not going to be home until later this evening, so it is all good. It's funny because I'm sitting in my spot, which when I'm not home, my daughter always steals because it is the ideal, the best spot for the TV and all that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you all for coming with us on this journey. Yeah. Thank you, Tonya, for dragging me. It was not a drag at all, I'm joking, but for getting me into this and getting me out of my comfort zone, right? Because I was not going to go see Yoongi because I initially was going to see it with somebody who ended up not being able to go, and I had this extra ticket for August D in Chicago, and Tanya's like, I'll fly and I'll go with you. I was like, what? Because I'm not as confident yet to do it alone. Now that I've gone, I could. Because now that I know what the community is like, I would have no problem. I went and saw yet to come in the movie theater by myself because I needed to. I couldn't find anybody to go with me. There was nobody else in the theater, so it was not the experience that I wanted to have, but I still was so happy that I did it.
Yeah.
And now that I've been to, I've seen Yoongi twice, I've seen The Rose, I've been to some K-pop shows. I know now that if I went alone, I would be 100% embraced. But having said that, I thank you for being my partner and getting me into this. And it is, yes, it's, if you have someone you can share it with, absolutely, it's a joy. But it'll be a joy if you go on your own as well.
Thank you for being my partner in crime. It's been so fun to, you'll meet people, you'll get to meet new friends, you can deepen friendships like we are doing with friends that you may have gone to 1 or 2 shows with before. I have a friend down in Dallas who I met at a show a little over a year ago, and we've been starting to go to shows together. We keep in touch online. You'll make real friends, and like Leah always says, online friends are also real friends.
Absolutely.
But those friendships will sometimes blossom into in-person friendships, and that is a beautiful thing. As we often say, on Afternoona Army, like the Rose says, BTS says this too, music is healing.
Absolutely.
And as a person in my early 50s, I never thought I would have the kinds of peak experiences that you have in high school or college.
Yes.
Making friends so easily, forming intense and meaningful friendships, especially for those of us who are female fans with other women, but with all kinds of people. And having music re-centered in life, and performing its healing function and bringing joy. I never knew I could feel that way again. And so that's been a real miracle.
I would say it's because of K-pop and K-dramas that I have made some of the most meaningful friendships in my life so far.
Yeah. And I want to thank you too. I wouldn't be here doing this thing, feeling this joy, enjoying music like this again, making all these friends, if not for Afternoona Delight. Because when I got into K-dramas during the pandemic, I started listening to you all, and that's how all of this started.
Yeah, that's how we all connected.
So,
and now look, we're sister podcasts, sister podcasting together right now.
It's amazing.
And how do you guys sign off for Afternoona Army?
We say Bora Hey.
Okay. So
Yes.
from me, I will say from Afternoona Delight, annyeong to you all. And for you?
And from Afternoona Army, Bora Hey, which means I purple you. It's something that BTS says. That means, to say it loosely, to have a long and lasting and trusting friendship.
So yay. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to this little snack, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you.
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!